Hi there, Sandy here. Welcome to another polymer clay video at my YouTube channel and my blog, keepsakecrafts.net. One of the great things about polymer clay is its ability to take on texture. Today I'm going to give you ideas for all sorts of textures that you can add to your polymer clay projects. Ones that will be uniquely yours and not designed by anyone else. So in a previous video, I showed you how to make a project using purchased texture sheets like these. And these are great. I love using them, especially for like the backs of projects, just to finish them nicely. But when I want a texture to be a focal point, I really want it to be uniquely my own artwork. So in this video, I'm going to show you several ways you can create textures and make texture plates to add your own unique touch to your pieces. So here are some polymer clay texture plates that I made. But what I really recommend you use to make your texture plates is this stuff, silicone molding putty. I've done a video in the past showing you how to use this. It's just two parts that you mix together, and then you have a little bit of time to make your impression and it firms up. And this is a texture plate I made some time ago, and you could see I've got a texture in here. It's actually this one from the string, and it's nice because it's flexible and I can roll my clay through the pasta machine on this and get a really clean, deep impression. However, you might have noticed my jars of molding putty are quite low. I need to get some more. So I'm just going to demonstrate today on these polymer clay pieces. So here's some ideas for making your own textures. So you just take dowels. Here's a 1/2 inch dowel. And you cut pieces, maybe the width that you want your texture plates to be. If you work on big projects, you might want to make them longer than mine. And then you can wrap them with all sorts of things. This is wrapped with just some crochet cotton, and that is what gave this its texture. And I used this texture plate to create the texture for the back of this pendant. Here's another dowel, and I just wrapped it with rubber bands. And then here's the texture you get when you roll this, and sometimes you have to roll over it a couple times to get a clean impression, and that's fine. It's just kind of a random texture. Another idea is lace. Now, wouldn't it be fun to take your sheet of molding putty and roll it through the pasta machine with a doily on it, and then you'd have that beautiful texture. Or you can just take some lace, like this cotton lace I have here, and I just wrapped this around a dowel, taped it at the ends, and here is the impression I got from the texture plate I made with that lace. Very cool. Another thing you can do with the dowels is draw on them with hot glue. Now this is one, I put too much glue on it to begin with, forgetting that the wood really helps keep it warm and liquid, so it was kind of oozing all over the place. And so I just took a needle tool and started dragging it through, and I got this really rough, craggy texture out of that. You just roll your piece through your clay, and then I've baked it. And now I have this great texture, make great texture for rocks or something. Or you can be a little bit more precise with the glue gun. Here I just took an awl and stuffed it in the end of the dowel as a handle. The hot glue is hot. And then I just took my glue gun and drew lines and dots all along this dowel in sort of a pattern. You can also use tools to make designs. Here I just used a tracing wheel from my sewing room and traced over the clay. On this one I just went mostly in one direction, but you could certainly go in the other direction too, or diagonals, or whatever you like. You could use ball tools and make dimples in the clay and have a hammered impression. And here's a piece of clay that I impressed with this sheet, and I just turned this texture sheet in the opposite direction and then impressed portions going the other way. It almost has a metal plate industrial look. And don't forget about the natural world. Here's just some greenery, some evergreen bits that I grabbed from outside and pressed them into the clay. And on this one, I used some leaves. These were sage leaves. I just love their texture. And I pressed a bunch, peeled those off, pressed some more just to fill in the entire background with this leaf texture. Now don't forget, you actually have two options with any of your texture plates. This can be the actual texture that you put on your piece, or you can use this as a texture plate to impress a piece of clay. I think of it as the innies, this one, the texture goes in, and the outies. So here's the innie, and here's the outie. Really a very beautiful texture. And here's the outie version of my evergreen bits. So your first option is to take one of your little textured rolling pins, and you can just roll that on the clay. And what's great about this is you can keep going as long as you need to. And see, that's what I mean about redoing it then. I'm just gonna go over this again. And like with my tracing wheel one, you could go in the other direction as well until it's just what you like. And like I said, this can be your object that you're making, or you can bake this clay, or you can just roll your clay over a piece of molding putty and then have a permanent flexible mold, which I think is the best option. So you just put your clay down, put your texture down on it, and then roll over it with your acrylic roller. Now, the only problem with doing it this way is that you do stand a chance of cracking your texture plate, which is why I really prefer to make them out of the molding putty. The other way you can make the texture is a little bit trickier. You put your texture plate down, put your clay on it, and what I like to do is have a little bit of an edge of my clay stuck down to my tile, because it tends to want to follow the roller, and so it'll wrap itself onto the roller, so that keeps it from doing that. And then I can just press, and there you go. You have your texture. So if you're looking for more textures, be sure to take a look around your house and look for household objects. Here's an example I found on Pinterest of making a texture plate using a variety of ball tools. Also, you could extrude strands of clay or roll little snakes and make your own designs for a texture plate. And here are a few objects you might not have thought of using for textures. How about a pine cone, a golf ball, or a bottle cap? These are some of my newest favorite textures. This is a mesh bag that garlic came in. I think avocados came in this one, onions came in this one, and I actually made this guy and textured his head and his body with these mesh bags and got a great dragon scale effect. So be looking around your home. Here's the handles of tools will often yield a great texture. What about the pattern on your flatware? What about the pattern on buttons? Just have fun finding new textures and ways to make your polymer clay creations uniquely your own. So for links to some of the tools and materials used in this video, click up here to go to the accompanying blog post. And if you have an idea you'd like me to try, please share it in the comments below and I'll see what I can do. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, please make sure you do for 3 new videos every week. I upload jewelry videos every Monday, polymer clay videos every Wednesday, and Friday findings on Friday. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and share, and make sure to follow me on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and on my blog. Happy creating. Bye-bye.